Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Matt and I'm back with Kerbal Space Program Hard Career Mode. Last episode we tried to, or had our first attempt at getting an SSTO space plane, as in SSTO meaning single stage to orbit, and we didn't quite manage it. The best thing I could do was the where is it? The Space Taxi Mark 1, which costs 57,000 funds to launch, gets to the station, can take 2 Kerbals to Low Kerbin Orbit and come back, and I think we got 15,000 funds back from it. Now off camera I played around a bit. First off I did some contracts, mostly satellite contracts, or no, it was 2 or 3 satellite contracts, yeah. And I fiddled around with space planes again. And I came up with the Space Taxi Mark II. And we're going, and this actually is a plane that can go to space, can get to Low Kerbin Orbit, and that for the cost of 27,210 funds. There's also the Mark II-R, which has an additional RCS fuel tank, but I think we don't need that right now. Both of them are 30 parts, or well, 29 and 30. Without the RCS fuel tank, of course, you got 1 part less. And yeah, as I said, they can get to orbit and get back to the runway. And I'm going to show that right now. Who did I send up last time? Leggy is the next one. And I wanted to go to Smiga Station, so I need a tourist. That's another thing. You might remember all the tourist contracts I accepted lately. Hayet, Nuri and Theomore are Kerbals who want to go to the moon. All 3 of them want moon landings. And Ailey is a Kerbal who only wants to go to orbit, which is why we're going to take her on this trip, because Smiga Station and the Minmus lander, the 2 targets I got in orbit, are going to Minmus, not the moon. All other tourists are already at in the AMUs that are docked to the station and the lander, which is also something I did off camera, moving the AMU and the AMU 116 from Brennan Depot to the lander and Smiga Station, respectively. So now we are going to Smiga Station and refueling the AMU there, and since that's in orbit, or that is in orbit, we will take Ailey, and Leggy is going to be our pilot. So first off we activate the brakes, because we don't want the craft to roll around on the runway, at least not by itself. Smiga Station is here. I put it in an orbit of 100, yeah, with an apoapsis and periapsis of 130 kilometers. So we can go there. Now I figured out that the best way to get to the Minmus lander, which is 20 kilometers lower than Smiga Station, is when it is at 30 degrees over the horizon behind us. And so I'm going to try the same with Smiga Station. Wait until it's 30 kilometers behind, until it's 30 degrees above the horizon behind us, which means that the sign we got here, the little purple triangle, has to be at minus 30 degrees from the horizon, as in 30 degrees below the horizon. And that is because the net ball, or this triangle, well, not a triangle, but I don't know what to call it, crosshair pretty much, shows a point away from or directly away from the target. So when that is at minus 30 in front of us, the actual target is at plus 30 behind us. Now we need a bit of time warp for that. It's going to take a minute or two. Okay, there we are. So we go to full throttle and turn on SAS, turn off the brakes of course, and fire up the engines. The first stage is firing the, what are they called, Whiplash engines, and I replaced the what are they called, the engine nacelles with liquid fuel fuselages, because I needed the fuel. But I don't need alright, I don't need the whole fuel that can go into the fuselage, so I set it to 200. Right, the plane has a bit of a problem getting off the runway, mostly probably because it is a delta wing without any canards or anything. So yeah, we go full throttle until the end of the runway and pretty much take off when we leave the runway. From there we climb at 20 degrees, still full throttle, pretty much until the engines, or no, that's the end of our, is that the end of flaps? I hope it wasn't. We'll see. Yeah, pretty much we are accelerating until the engines run out of air. That does mean we are going at 700 meters per second before we, or almost going 700 meters per second before we leave the densest part of the atmosphere. We are going to go 1200 meters per second before we leave, or before we are far enough out of the atmosphere to actually get problems with the air for the engines. And of course the speed means we are getting a bit of a heat problem in the cockpit. Now as soon as we start getting slower again, we kick in the LV909 and we still keep going 20, climbing at 20 degrees. So now we've lost the air. Engines have run out of air at 25 kilometers. That's okay. I'm going to shut them down just in case. Normally you would do that with action groups, but we haven't upgraded the the space plane hangar far enough yet. So I'm doing it manually, it works. As long as you got enough intakes and go up at a high enough rate to have them turn up at the same time, that's not a problem. Okay, now the next part is I keep the plane pointed up to 20 degrees until I got an apoapsis of about 50 kilometers. This might not be necessary, but I like to do it that way. So far it's worked every time, so why fix what ain't broke? Okay, now that we got 50 kilometers of apoapsis, we switch the SAS to keep us pointed prograde. Still going full power. Of course the LV909 aren't at their strongest in atmosphere, but they're strong enough, and I've tried the same thing with the LVT45, and while they are stronger, they also use a lot more fuel. It would also work with them, but I prefer the 909. So now it's mostly waiting until the apoapsis is at, I think now, with Smiga station being at 130, I think we're going to bring it up to 100, maybe 120 kilometers. Oh, hey! Of course, with the low... Okay. Keeping us as low as we are, that means our apoapsis is going to end up on the other side of Kerbin. And we learned that doing it this way is still too early. 150, okay, I'm just going to bring our apoapsis to 150 kilometers. Where is it? 740, 50. Okay. It leaves our periapsis at 49, but that's okay. I keep removing the station as a target because I have run into the issue where since we are pointed prograde, suddenly it switched to our navigation speed, everything relative to the target. And that led to a little bit of an issue because suddenly the plane was pointed, I think, straight up. And that totally messed up my, what's it called? My apoapsis. And with that I needed more fuel, yada yada yada. Okay, I just checked in another window and apparently Fraps is still running, which is nice. And we're still suborbital. Okay, but at least we're in space. That means we can extend our solar panels. Also switch to stability assist. And actually set Smiga station as our target. Now we need to adjust our flight path a little bit. Okay, that's good. Intersect 112.6, that's not exactly what I want. But we need some more speed anyway. Huh. That's much better. V8. 2-1. 06. Oh, I like that. 02. Oh, I think that should already be it. 0.1. No, that's too much already. Okay, I think that's as close as we can get. So turn off SAS for a minute. And I'm going to... No, I think I'll just turn the plane around first. We'll end up at... We're needing 81 meters per second of delta V. Okay, that's close enough. Yeah, the reason why one of the Kerbals in this plane needs to be a pilot is that I don't actually have any SAS modules on it. Mostly because it would break up the smooth lines of the plane. The only SAS module I could get inline would be the Octo, and that's a lot smaller than the cockpit and the whole fuselage, everything. That would look weird. There is a Mark II SAS, but I haven't unlocked it yet. I did have to unlock a couple more parts, even though I don't remember which they were. Yes, I unlocked new ailerons, mostly for looks, but also because I thought they might make taking off easier, but they didn't really. Now, what I wanted to do was move more fuel into the bicoupler and then remove or shut that off. Because that fuel is going to be the stuff that goes into the AMU Dr. Smiga station. So I'm kinda reserving it by shutting off the bicoupler. And this fuel needs to get us to Smiga station and then back to Kerbin, but that's not a problem, I think. Now we're still 7 minutes out, so let's just add an alarm. Oh, and AMU 27 is the one coming back from the moon. And I kinda messed up there. I had planned to get Bob and Terry back from the moon and leave Valentina and Burkus up there. But yeah, the first Kerbal I sent down to the moon was actually Burkus. And since I didn't want to split Bob and Terry up, because they are working together so well, I thought, well, let's just get Valentina down there and then get those two back. And they have done 2 passes through Kerbin's atmosphere already. This one is the reminder for the 3rd pass. I hope that one that's enough, because yeah, I really want them back. I really want them back. And I need more, or I need the AMU for, which is AMU 27, for for the tourists that want to go to the moon and land there. I'm thinking I'll send a pilot and a tourist. but yeah, there's still some time to figure that one out. Yeah, see, we already switched to target. And our prograde and retrograde nodes jumped around a bit. But our maneuver node didn't, so we'll just stick to that. Okay, that should do it. 0.5, okay, that's not perfect, but that's fine. Now, where is the AMU? Because the AMU also needs refueling. Which means we set this as an alarm. That's not good. That's not what I want. I want to rename this vessel to Smega Refuel. Then I can add an alarm. Ha! There we go. Okay. Now the AMU is here, so that should give us enough time to actually get another plane up to space at least, if not right to the AMU. And I could actually take another tourist contract. Oh, right. We got 1,950 funds from getting ALI to orbit, which is nice. Yeah, I could take another tourist contract, but the AMU that is stuck to the Minmus lander still needs another passenger. Someone I want to send to Minmus. So I will take Tria as our pilot. No, I want this one. We'll take Tria as our pilot, and Bill gets to go to Minmus as well. Because so far we have Jeb as a pilot. I think we have a scientist, but I forgot who it was. And now Bill is going to be our engineer on that mission. So we got every job covered, and we also got 5 tourists split up between the AMUs. So that's enough Kerbals going to Minmus. 8 of them to be precise. I don't yet know how many are going to get a landing on that first flight, but we'll figure something out. Okay, brakes off, full throttle, and off we go. Oh, and another thing, something to not do is to try and correct the heading on the runway at speeds of more than 100 meters per second. I tried that before and it ended up not going very well. Gear up. The plane started wobbling left and right. Oh, heh! Forgot to turn on SAS. I was wondering why the plane didn't want to stay at the 20-degree marker. Okay. Yeah, the plane started wobbling left and right and almost crashed on taking off. Speaking of crash, last night did one of the supply flights to the AMU, I think, yeah, to the lander, and I didn't notice that when I came down the landing gear was up, but the button for landing gear was toggled. So when I hit button to actually lower the landing gear, it didn't. I noticed that a bit late, and I was coming in a bit quick on the what's it called? On the runway. So I ended up losing pretty much everything in the plane except for the cockpit and the front landing gear. So yeah, the cockpit landed in one piece with the landing gear still attached, so I got that back. But that was the most expensive flight to the AMU so far. Those who follow me on Twitter may have seen a screenshot. There we go. Actually it was on Friday night and this video is going up on Sunday. But as I'm recording it, it was last night, because it's now Saturday for me. Schedules, aren't they fun? Choop, there go our plane engines. Shut them down. And yeah, we're going at 3 times the speed of sound. 4 times actually. While still in atmosphere. But it's become pretty much routine by now, so... Alright. Really wish there was a setting to keep your heading as in stability assist relative to the horizon. That would be cool. Because then I could just set it to 20 degrees and it would keep those 20 degrees. Even as we are going around Kerbin, as we are now. Because I keep having to correct the heading a bit. So we don't rise too steeply. Okay, time for prograde. And the thing is, the AMU is actually close enough for us to just burn until we are at its what's it called? At its orbit, more or less. Okay, as long as it's on orbit we are safe, but if it happens to switch to not orbit, we are in trouble. How are we looking on? Okay, that's in about 4 minutes. Okay, that should be good enough, I think. '13. Actually, we're going to end up a bit higher than the AMU, but that's okay. Since we're still in atmosphere, we are going to kind of lose a bit of altitude, or yeah, our apoapsis is going to come down a little bit, so we might have to adjust it. But that's okay, we can work with that. I just want to get out of atmosphere so I can extend the solar panels. I could probably do it already, but I don't want them to rip off. And I think they would increase our drag as well, so let's not do that. Of course, we are going to pass into the shadow of Kerbin soon enough, so the solar panels are not going to be that much help, but that's okay. Wondering if those things below the cockpit windows are RCS thrusters. I don't think so, but would be fun. And there we are. Extend. Extend. Space Taxi Mark II, nicknamed the Bunny. And apparently, okay, they are blocked by the fuselage, so let's just turn off SAS, rotate this ship, and there we are. Turn it back on. Okay, set this as our target. 3 kilometers in 10 minutes. Okay. Once again, the big mistake, or the usual mistake. Rename that. This is this. Okay. Right on time. Okay. There we are. Now where is that station? It should be behind us. There we are. Okay, 1.3 kilometers. What's our closest approach? 0.5. So let's just... Okay, actually let's not speed up too much. I thought I wanted to burn towards the station a bit, but that would actually be not a good idea. We are already pretty close. Okay. Come on, like this, yes. I'm just going to adjust our... like this. And with that we are at 100 meters in a bit over a minute. Now the problem is that this plane has a docking port on the bottom, but it doesn't have any RCS thrusters. Even the version with the RCS fuel tank is pretty much lacking in thrusters. The reason being that in the what's it called, spaceplane hangar, we still have the 30 parts limit, and if you recall, this plane clocks in at 29. So the most I could do would be put in one RCS thruster, and that would not be enough. Not by a long shot. Thought that I would need to do it like this a bit. Thing is, I actually want to aim towards the rear of Smiga station a bit, where the AMU is docked, which would actually be the bottom, I guess. And this is where having a pilot that can keep the craft pointed retrograde comes in handy, because you can just do it like this. Now, how do we do this? I could actually just keep the plane here. Yeah, I think I'll do it this way. I'll keep the plane here. Is this about right? Yeah, more like this, I think. Yep, that's it. Switch to the station, then I will retract this panel. It happened to me with Brass Station. I kinda lost one of the solar panels there. Probably when I got... no, not you, you. When I got Valentina back from the moon. Now, as I said, I can't dock the plane to the station due to a lack of RCS thrusters, but I can dock the AMU to the plane. All that needs is some RCS from the AMU, of which it has pretty much plenty. And as you can see, we got Natasine, Jebediah, Metrod and Erisy Kerman in here. And the tourists can't go EVA, so I had to transfer them by docking two pieces together. In this case, pretty much every time, a plane and the AMU. Of course, you might remember from last episode that Jebediah and Natasine actually came up to Brennan Depot on the Space Taxi Mark 1. Wondering if I should maybe... no, not you, you. Okay. I just turned off SAS and the space taxi, because otherwise it might get in the way of getting a docking. There we are. RCS off, SAS on. Okay, now we wanted everything from the bicoupler in here. So that was 180 of liquid fuel. That means I think we need two more flights. And I'm transferring all the monopropellant over. It's not enough, of course, but it's a start. Not this. No. Undock. Because at some point we will have to, or of course at some point we will have to bring up Shuttle Mark II-R, Space Taxi Mark II-R, but yeah, not right now. There's still, I think I'm going to do that on the second flight. We can put 300 more in the tank, yeah, that's about... That's 2 more flights to Smiga Station. And 20, 40... Yeah, I think only one of them actually needs RCS or extra RCS. Oops, that was not paying attention. Because we've come a bit low on the on Smiga Station. And this is pretty much Fraps bugging out. And this is pretty much why I retracted the solar panels, because this would have been too close. Probably would have ended up sharing them off. Oh. I think I really need a new machine at some point soon. Yep, we got 2 more minutes until it's time for the Minmus lander refuel to, yeah, pretty much dock. Or at least it's going to be the closest approach to the AMU and the lander. Okay. Steady now, steady. Ching! There we are. Docked them back together. Okay. Okay. And we will... Actually, I want to extend that panel again. And then we will point retrograde, more or less. Just give a little bit of thrust. Tiny little bit. Like this, maybe. Okay, that's good. Thing is, I don't want to hit the station while I'm not looking. Okay, we should be about here. Oops, wrong direction, this way. About here when we need to burn back to the station. Back to the... what's it called? Back to Kerbal, back to the KSC. What? No nearby objects? What do you mean? That's what I wanted. And once again we are on the dark side of Kerbal. Oh, that's why. And I'm totally pointed in the wrong direction. Well, maybe not totally, because I can't find the retrograde marker. There we are. That's retrograde tria. There we are. We are almost stationary relative to the AMU, which is not exactly what I want, because I want to go towards it. And since we're at 3 kilometers, we can probably do that a bit quicker. 30 meters per second should do it. Actually, we're getting slower again. That's not how to do it. .3. That's more like it. I think I'll just get us pointed retrograde again. Oh, that's why. And then see about slowing down once we get there, which is in 2 minutes. If I hurry, I could probably do the return right afterwards, but that would kinda conflict with getting the AMU a bit lower and with getting Smiga refuel back to Kerbal, so we'll not do that. I gotta be a bit careful unless so I don't crash into the lander or yeah, burn it up with my engines. But we should be fine. Oops. Actually, I could try this. Nope. No RCF thrusters. Okay, there we are. Now, once again. Pointing up. AMU 27 is going to be back in 4 minutes. Can we do this? Maybe. Yeah, this AMU we got Landstedt, Melane and Helena, or Helena actually, and so far, oh, Melane was the scientist. Melane was our scientist. I forgot that part. And Landstedt and Helena are tourists who want to go to Minmus. I'm not sure which of them wants to go to orbit and which want to land. I could check it up. Oh, both only want to go to orbit. I could check the contracts as well. Actually, I might want to slow down a bit. And this is why I... Okay, I was just about to say, this is why I usually turn off SAS when I... Oh, wait. When I dock, because otherwise, or because you tend to get a bit of wobbling with the magnetism. See, this one is almost full. Well, I filled it up with the last flight, so yeah, we can actually put a bit of monopropellant in the crew capsule as well. Doesn't hurt, I think. Of course, I'm using some of it again for getting back to the lander. Maybe using a bit more of it. Okay, there we are. Wasn't so sure about that docking just now. Oops, turn off RCS, yes. Okay. No, what am I doing? This. Okay. Right. So I'll be back in a few minutes after taking care of the AMU 27, and then we'll take the Smiga refuel down to Kerbin. At least that's the plan. And here we are with the Smiga refuel. I like to get ready for the return burn when we are above the big crater. Actually, we don't need that. Or above the desert on this side, on this continent of Kerbin actually. As soon as we get over the desert, I like to do the burn. No, wait, I wanted this. because that's actually a pretty good spot. It's a good landmark, and we are going to pass about a quarter of Kerbin before we hit the KSC, which gives us a pretty shallow re-entry angle. Or, well, it's a good mix between shallow and steep, I think. So we burn retrograde without a maneuver node. We pretty much burn up all of our fuel. Well, maybe not all of it, depending on how much we still got. And we are going to do a night landing. I prefer a day landing for video reasons, but a night landing it is. Okay, I'd like to get the coming down part in those mountains near the KSC. And then we can adjust that on the fly pretty much, because this plane glides like a beast. We don't need to be pointed retrograde anymore, so we turn prograde. We're still at 120 clicks up, nearly 130. We're still in the sun, so I keep the solar panels out, but we don't need the LV909s anymore. If we need, thrust, we are going to use the Whiplash. We got 35 Oxidizer and 146 liquid fuel left. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it will be enough. Oops, that was a bit much. Oops, enough. Okay, we are back in Atmo, which means we are going to retract our solar panels, switch to stability assist, and start the long glide home. Might want to point the nose up a bit though. We're approaching 55 kilometers. That's not a place where you want to be pointed down too much. And as you can see, Kerbin kept rotating, so our estimated point of impact has moved to the east. No, to the west actually. Now we have to move it to the east. I'm hearing something. We are already getting into the air, which has two effects. One, we got heat effects on the solar panels and now on the cockpit. And two, with the way we are pointed, right pretty much at the horizon. Well, first off, we are slowing down. Our apoapsis is coming down, and now pretty much everything is getting influenced by the heat effects. But that's okay. Yeah. But the other thing is we were pointed a bit upwards, and so our prograde marker also moved upwards, which means we are now aiming for a point past those mountains west of the KSC. Which is because of the wings that provide us a bit of lift, and that's what I mean by this plane glides like a beast. I mean, sure, we are still at more than 5 times the speed of sound. Falling fast, but not too fast. And we are currently aiming to almost overshoot the KSC. So that's something we will have to fix. Off camera I did overshoot it once, and then I ended up landing on the runway over here, which was a bit of an interesting landing because I didn't know at what altitude it is. But then again, I don't know at what altitude the KSC is either, so meh. Okay, we are coming in a bit better now. Let's stay pointed this way. The thing is, if we point ourselves prograde, we end up shortening our glide. If we keep pointing, or if we use the stability assist, the rising of, or the automatic rising of our nose and the lift from our wings actually lengthens our glide, no matter which way we are pointed. But it's still a bit of a bit of a balance to figure out what will get yourself to the KSC and what won't. And we can already see the KSC over there. I'm not yet sure if we are aiming to hit the runway, but what I am sure of is we need to switch cameras to chase camera. Yeah, I think we might be aiming a bit too far north. And we are already in the denser atmosphere, so going at Mach 2. Oh yeah, we are too far north. So going at Mach 2, actually we are slowing down, and we are currently falling a bit short of the KSC, but that's okay, we got enough fuel for our engines. The Whiplash. We probably have enough fuel even to get to the island runway over there. So, still at Mach 1. Thing is, this plane doesn't have parachutes either, or even air brakes. That's also a part I unlocked off camera. Oh, and yeah, the wings have gotten a bit hot, so have the ram air intakes. The cockpit not, surprisingly, but that's okay. Ooh. Is flaps off? No, it's still on. Cool. We got terrain scatters! Usually when flaps is on, they don't get... or they don't show up. We are coming in a bit slow actually, so maybe we'll use just a little throttle. The thing is, with a plane like this, I have upgraded, or I have built a non-space plane of this kind, where I actually left out the side engines and replaced the LV909 by the Whiplash, or with the Whiplash, and this is what I was talking about. The gears are set or shown as lowered, but they aren't. Yeah, and I had taken that one to the next continent over for a Kerbin science contract. Okay, we are a bit fast. And I was at, I don't know, 12 kilometers of altitude. and going Mach 3 almost, I think. And I had set the throttle down to 1/6 and it was still accelerating. Okay, brakes, I'm not so sure we can actually slow this down enough. This was what I was talking about with the wobbling, but we are standing. Yeah, as I said, a plane without, without the LV909 and with actually smaller intakes. It was accelerating at nearly Mach 3 at 1/6 thrust at 12,000 meters. That was interesting. Okay. Anyway, let's recover this. And we get 26,072 funds back from being at the, because we landed at the runway. So yeah, Mark II cockpit, landing gear, everything. And if you remember, we were at 27,000 something, I think 27,210 for launching this. So this whole flight cost us 1,000 or maybe 1,200 funds. Leggy and Ali come back. And of course, we got the tour completion results for Ali. It's 3,000 funds. That's already giving us more money than the flight cost us, plus 5,000 from the travel itinerary, and if you remember, we had 1,000 something from getting her to orbit. Yeah, 27,210. So, in comparison with the Space Taxi Mark 1, which costs us, where is it? 57 to launch and 15 for getting it back. We are actually a lot cheaper this way. The next thing is, I calculated it takes 8 launches of the Space Taxi 2 to refuel an AMU. The ARV, and with 8 launches, let's make it expensive. Let's say everything costs, each launch costs 1,500, which it doesn't, but it's a high estimate. With that estimate, we end up at a total refuel cost of 12,000 funds. Getting an ARV into orbit costs us 50,000, 51 almost. For this, and also refuels an AMU. And the ARV doesn't have any crew capacity, so we would have to do something else to get the crew from the AMU back to Kerbin, or the crew for the AMU up to it. So yeah, this is why space planes, SSTOs, are actually so popular. Okay, there we are. So, off camera until next episode, I think I will do some more flights, because I still need to totally refuel the 2 AMUs. And there is another tourist contract for getting tourists to orbit. I will do those as well in combination with the refueling. I might even get Burkus and Valentina back. and prepare the AMU-27 for the next trip to the moon. We'll see about that. So, and of course what I definitely will do is get Smiga Station and the Minmus lander on their way to Minmus. I'm not yet sure what I'm going to do next episode, but that's the plan so far. Oh, no, it isn't. Hey. Or, actually it is the plan. I just wanted to show you something I hadn't figured out last episode. Oh, I could do another satellite contract. And that is Earth Station. There we are. Fly. First off, the station is a bit lopsided because it's missing a solar panel. Second off, I have figured out how to science. I just have to also figure out which way to rotate the station, because the sun has moved or the station has rotated, whichever, and we are not collecting any electric charge anymore, which is bad because researching takes a lot of it. So yeah, as you can see, we collected 3 science, which is not a lot, but oh well. The trick is to get some data from science experiments, you know, the stuff you can actually collect from the Science Junior, for example, and store in a crew capsule or lander can, and you store that in the lab, and you can check that check those experiments, and you get a new button to analyze that those experiments, and that gives you data, and this is used for generating science by researching. So having 479 data and Bob as our scientist gives us 1.6 science per day through research. The problem with that is, as I said, it consumes quite a bit of electric charge, and when your station is behind the moon for half the day, that kinda drains your batteries. So solar panels are important, which is why it's especially bad that this one is broken off. I think I did that when I brought the lander in the last time. And yeah, that's how this works. So we learn something new every day. Oh, we're a bit short on fuel. Oh right, because this one is not exactly full. Okay. But that was just some info I wanted to share, because I had to Google it. Wait, I'm remembering something. Where is it? There it is. And then lander refuel, yes, fly. Ha! I thought so. Damn it. Where is the AMU? There it is. Okay, let's have Bill do a long spacewalk. The thing is, I forgot to send Bill, or to transfer Bill over to the AMU. It's the same thing that happened to me with Helena before. I also forgot to transfer her to the AMU, which is why I was twice as happy that the crash that happened with her aboard wasn't fatal. And that little camera mishap from last episode. Okay, that's cool. Also showed me something. Or maybe it didn't. Chase free orbital. Okay. Was it free? Yep, it was. Ha! There we are. Because on a free camera you can actually pick out which way your Kerbal is supposed to point. Even if it's not the axis that the chase camera would use. Board. Okay, so yeah. Pretty much around here. Anyway, that's it for the first actual spaceplane episode. As I said, until next episode I will get Smiga Station and the Minmus lander on their way to Minmus. Maybe I will even fast forward far enough for them to get there. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, until next episode, thank you and good night.